That's why you're back on the Lama Inside right here on Radio 4 with the lady herself. Okay, I'm talking about, yeah, who else as usual on the show? I'm talking about Mkonki. Good to have you on the show. Good to have you. Another Tuesday. We thank God for another Tuesday, right?
We thank God for another Tuesday.
I love the green you're putting on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're all in green.
Yeah, I'm popping. Zambian colors, eh?
I love this. Yeah, I mean, green is just a good color. It just gives you a sign that your day is going to be greener.
Yeah, brighter, right? Greener, I like that. You can attract the Benjamins.
You know how
Uh-huh.
it is. Yeah. So as we give information this morning, what are we focused on this morning?
So today I would like us to take a dive into the very exciting news that we received this week,
Mhm.
and that is the fact that Copperbelt Energy has broken through to a market capitalization of 1 billion United States dollars. And so the bell this week was in dollar, celebrating Copperbelt Energy's milestone in terms of market capitalization. So I would like us to use this opportunity actually to understand what is market capitalization. So for you as an investor, why is this news about Copperbelt Energy breaking this milestone? The first Zambian company ever to have a market capitalization of $1 billion. Why is this exciting news? And for you as a Zambian, especially an investor in the local capital market, why is this exciting news? So that is what we're talking about. We want to use this opportunity to really understand what market capitalization is and how you can utilize this as an investor in Zambia.
All right, so let's jump into this one and just find out. Okay, so what is this market capitalization and just the difference, from just looking at the share price of the company.
So for many investors, particularly the novices, when you start investing, the very first thing you look at is the share price. It's like you go to the market, you're looking at tomatoes, and the only thing you're looking at is the price of the tomato, and you don't look at any other factors. So market capitalization is about how much all those tomatoes are worth. That is what market capitalization is. And so as an investor who's advancing in terms of their skills in investing, you also need to go beyond just the mere share price. You need to look beneath and also understand the market capitalization of a company, because a share price can be lower or higher, but it doesn't really mean anything if you don't compare it to the company's market capitalization. And therefore, market capitalization, in short, really is the value of the company, and it is calculated by looking at the number of shares of that company that are available for buyers and sellers multiplied by its share price. So that is how we determine the market capitalization of a company. We look at the total amount of shares or outstanding shares multiplied by the share price. That gives us the market capitalization of a company.
Okay. So I was saying it's not just the price, per share that matters.
No, it's not just the share price, Chilufia, because a company can have a higher share price, and I'll give you a very practical example here. For example, Chilanga Cement right now is trading at around 30 kwacha, but its market capitalization is only 6 billion Zambian kwachas. Now look at the Copperbelt Energy's market capitalization, which has now crossed over. It's now about 26 billion, which is the over 1 billion United States dollars. So in kwacha, it's about 26 billion Zambian kwachas. So, but its share price is 18 kwacha. It's around 18 kwacha per share. That's Copperbelt Energy. So if you're just looking merely at the share price, you might think, oh, Chilanga Cement is much more valuable than Copperbelt Energy, because the share price for Chilanga Cement is 30 kwacha, whereas the share price for Copperbelt Energy is 18 kwacha. And if you're a novice investor, you might buy shares based just on that fact. But if you look at the market capitalization, you'll find that actually Copperbelt Energy is much more valuable in terms of market capitalization. It's over 26 billion Zambian kwachas compared to Chilanga Cement 6 billion. So that puts many things into perspective. So you don't just look at the share price, but you also consider market capitalization and many other factors. But today we want to focus on market capitalization. And that is why you go beyond just looking at the share price when you're analyzing companies.
Okay. Let's make this practical a bit. Let's just using a real life example here. You actually mentioned CE hitting a market cap of over 1 billion United States dollars, or 26.5 billion. Okay.
Yeah.
How does that compare with other big players on LuSE, like let's say a ShopRite and Chilanga Cement?
That's a very, very excellent question, Chilufya. First of all, we must understand that ShopRite is actually the most valued company on our market. It owns almost half of the, the LuSE. And its market capitalization, depending on, exchange rates and all of that, it can actually be different. But right now, from the website that I got this information from, which is simplywallstreet.com, ShopRite is valued at about 235 billion kwachas. So it is the most valued company. But if you are talking about local Zambian company, this is where Copperbelt Energy is shining or has broken through the milestone, and it's now crossing over the 1 billion United States dollars. But if you compare this to Chilanga Cement, as I was trying to explain, you also need to look beyond the share price, because market capitalization does matter. It talks about the number of shares that are in issue multiplied by the share price that gives the value of the total value of the company. So even though Chilanga Cement is selling at a share price which is higher than Copperbelt Energy, you find that Copperbelt Energy has a higher market capitalization, and that symbolizes a lot of positive things for a company that has a higher market capitalization and whose share price is lower. It could actually show an investor that this company is much more valuable than the one that is highly priced. So that is how important this is.
Okay. I love this. Very interesting. So Copperbelt Energy, I was saying, I know it has become our first Zambian-owned company to reach, $1 billion market value. It's a big deal, right?
It's a big deal. You don't know how big it is for us that are investors in these capital markets, and that really want our capital markets, particularly our stock exchange, Lusaka Securities Exchange, to grow. It's a huge milestone for us, and it's really, really exciting. But most importantly, it actually shows the investor confidence that investors are starting to show in our stock market, particularly our LuSE. And also confidence in a company such as Copperbelt Energy, because it shows that investors believe that this company has got huge potential for growth. And it inspires, it should actually, it might not, but it should inspire local Zambian companies to pursue sourcing their finances from our capital markets rather than looking just at financial institutions like the commercial banks. This should really put a spotlight on the capacity of the LuSE to attract financing for companies, long-term financing for companies' operations. That is the fundamental importance of this milestone.
Okay. Any implications?
Yes, implications are there. Like I've said, first of all, another important implication is, when you're looking as an investor, when you're analyzing a market, you want to look at, market capitalizations in terms of sizes. We've got large cap companies, we've got medium cap companies, we've got small cap companies. So the cap is capitalization. So for an investor, there are investors that prefer to invest their money largely on large cap companies. So for a company like Copperbelt Energy, that becomes really attractive for investors, and it can actually result in them attracting more equity financing rather than debt financing. And equity financing, in terms of the interest rate compared to the banks, is definitely cheaper, because you don't have to pay back the returns every year. If you're not profitable, if you're profitable, you can pay as much as you want. So it's dependent on the performance of the company. Unlike the debt financing, which requires you to pay back interest rates at a predetermined time regularly. So this is the importance of this and the implication, particularly for financing for a company like Copperbelt Energy.
Okay, so let's practically, just on practically speaking, right? How can the listeners make use of this information? Which is the best way for them to make use of this information?
So for a listener that is listening, this news is very important for you to understand, because it shows that our capital market has the capacity to attract big listings, and also it's got the liquidity that we always complain about. We're actually demonstrating that the LuSE can increase its capacity to attract the kind of liquidity that we are all looking for. So for a local investor, I would really urge you to analyze this news and see what it means for you, particularly if you're an investor in Copperbelt Energy. What does this now translate in terms of the shares that you're holding and their value? They've become much more valuable than they were a couple of months ago.
Oh, nice, beautiful. Okay. And when is this workshop, happening?
So before I talk about the workshop that we normally do, I'd just like to talk about why this is also very important for LuSE.
Okay.
Because, for a number of years, the Lusaka Securities Exchange has had around 20 companies listed on its market. And they've been really struggling to attract more companies to list. But this is the kind of news that we need to attract more companies to list on the market. And so I hope that this news is going to boost LuSE's credibility, both locally and internationally, and help it to attract further listings on the capital market. So I really urge LuSE to take advantage of this news and ensure that we can attract both local and international listings coming through to our capital market, because it shows the confidence that these companies are starting to show in our capital market.
Okay.
And so you spoke about the workshop. So these things like market capitalizations, dividend policies, and all of these things are things that we discuss in a course that I do. It's an online training program. It's done via Zoom for beginners, but the main intention really is to help beginners to start investing in the capital market. So if you feel like this is exciting news, this is where I can put my money, how do I get started? You can join me this Friday morning, 9 to 12, where we look at how do you start investing in Zambian shares or companies listed on the LuSE. So it is learn about the shares online training program. If you would like to register, you can go to our website, insidepartnersafrica.com. That's insidepartnersafrica.com, and you'll find the course there. Just follow the links. It will give you much more information on what we cover in terms of the course content and how you can register and pay for this program. However, if you feel like you need more information from me directly, you can always contact me on 0977 44 5604. And I can direct you in terms of how you join us on this class. I mean, understanding things like market capitalization distinguishes you from novice investors that merely look at the share price and say, Chilanga Cement is 30 kwacha, Copperbelt Energy is 18 kwacha. Perhaps Chilanga is doing it. And maybe under the surface, you find that it's not really the case. So there's much more that we need to consider as we are analyzing companies.
Okay. And in closing, what's your take-home message? Very important topic about this morning.
It's really important. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
And high for one, it's like I'm an advocate of ensuring that we grow our capital market. And I'm one that I don't even want to see our companies listing elsewhere when we have this market. So that's why it's really exciting that we can have such news. So to end, I'd just like to appreciate those that joined us online. We've got Leonard, we've got Mwaka. Mwaka is saying, I've since invested 2 more times since the last time I reported. So Mwaka has been closely following me, and she's actually reporting that she's invested 2 more times since the last time we spoke, and already enjoying dividends and capital gains.
Wow.
She's getting it. Mwaka is getting it. She's enjoying dividends and capital gains. And that is what it really is about. And I know many Zambians are not aware about this. And those that are listening on the bus, this might all sound like French or Chinese. But with time, it starts making sense.
Oh, yeah. This is good. I hope a lot of people, change their minds on this and just invest more and more, right?
Yes, we need. That is how we grow our capital market, Chilufya.
Okay.
That is how we grow. So please get in touch with me. Let's build this market rather than admiring foreign markets that like the Nasdaq or the New York Stock Exchange or even the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. We have our local market here that we just need to ensure we grow.
Nice. Number once more.
So my number is 0977 44 5604. Please call me for, I'll say this again. Last time I said this, somebody called me and said, I'm calling for a serious case. Please call me for a serious question, because majority of what I talk about is actually on YouTube. So if you go to my YouTube channel, Mukonkela, you will find, a plethora of videos Just take your time and watch each video. Many of your questions will actually be answered. So by the time you are calling me, let it be a question that is very unique, such that you can even have a program on it and discuss it on the radio program. Not questions like, yeah, what is the Chilanga Cement share price? It's very kwacha. I already told you.
It was good having you on the show.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one, eh?
Thank you.
Oh yeah, have a great one. That's Mukonki and Mukonkela there. Yes, yeah, just loving it. So hope you pick that, and then let's see how best we can pick it up on the next segment as we come in on the Lama inside. Stay on the Breakfast Show. Keep it for